recording right now. All recordings will be sent out towards the end of this month or the beginning of next month. They'll be on YouTube. So again, reminder, Q&A at 2:00 today. That's a different Zoom link, and I will post that in the chat too. Please type your questions throughout the presentation in the Q&A for answering at the 2 p.m. session. The chat is disabled for questions. And again, you can type your questions about child development, TK, everything we're talking about today, and even wrap up questions. And new questions can also be asked at the 2 p.m. session. Again, all session recordings will be emailed out, including the Q&A at 2:00. A survey will also be emailed out at the end of the last sessions. And just a reminder, please check with your monitoring authority regarding their requirements. And CTC has purview over granting and denying all applications submitted for review. I'm going to let, excuse me, Stephanie Magdaleno introduce herself and start with child development permits. Thank you, Stephanie.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Magdaleno. I am the credential analyst here at San Joaquin County, and I will be sharing my screen in just a minute. All right, so this is Child Development 101, and let's begin. So there are 6 permit types. One is the assistant, the associate teacher, the teacher, master teacher, site supervisor, and program director. The one that I commonly see here in San Joaquin County is the associate teacher, teacher, and site supervisor. The associate teacher will be your best friend and your enemy, and I will explain later on in the slides why that is. They all have a renewal requirement, and all the permits are valid for 5 years. All minus the associate teacher permit require 105 hours of professional growth. The associate teacher permit can only be renewed once, and you need to have taken 15 semester units since initial issuance date going towards the teacher permit. And I will explain what happens if you don't meet those requirements in the upcoming slides. So core coursework. I've mentioned there are 6 different levels of child development permits, and there are multiple different options on how someone can qualify for a specific child development permit. And some require core coursework, and you need to satisfy at least 3 semester units or 4 quarter units in these 3. One is child growth and development. The other one is child, family, and community. And the other one is programs and curriculum. Let's say somebody has taken a curriculum course, but it's only like 2 semester units. Well, you can combine 2 classes to make up for those remaining units. And the associate teacher and above are the ones that require the core coursework, but it also depends on what option you're going to use to qualify somebody. So also depending on which permit you are applying for and which option you are using will require general education coursework. So this must be AA degree applicable and non-remedial. That's very, very important. And 16 semester units in the categories of English, social science, math or science, and humanities. And something that I always advise everybody is look at the course catalog until you are familiar with that specific college or university. For us, it's like Delta College, Sac State, Stanislaus, because those are the colleges around us I'm really familiar with. Anything outside of that, I'm like, hold on, I got to look at the course catalog because I'm not sure if this is a curriculum or this is even a child, family, community. An example would be CSU Stanislaus uses a sociology class to satisfy that child, family, and community requirement. And something that I always tell everybody is remember to convert quarter to semester. This can genuinely make or break somebody. If they have 16 quarter units, I promise you it is not equivalent to 16 semester units, and that person will no longer qualify for that specific permit if it requires 16 semester units. Experience, also depending on what type of permit you are trying to qualify somebody, there are experience requirements. So you need to have a minimum of 3 hours a day to count as a day of experience. Practicum can count as experience, but if the course is used to meet the unit requirements, it cannot be used to meet the experience requirement. Meaning if somebody took a practicum course for the supervised field experience option, they cannot use that experience to count as working. You're not allowed to double dip. However, this can be volunteered or paid experience. If somebody also owns a licensed family childcare, that also works. And it must be in an instructional capacity for children 5 years or younger, unless you're using school age emphasis. And I'll explain what school age emphasis is in the later slides. So a person can either use a letter, which must be verified on official letterhead with an original signature, or the one that we like to use is the Child Development Training Consortium's website form. It's real easy. It has all the information that you need. And this is the form right here. And this is why we prefer it. The employer just has to fill out the person's name right here, their start date, and if they're currently employed or when they no longer employed there, what is their position of, and this is very, very important, children's ages. So we've seen people get disqualified because they write 12 years old or 13 years old. At that point, that's school age emphasis, and you have to check off a little box for that. But I predominantly see ages 3 to 5. And this is why we like the form as well. For an associate teacher, it specifically has the verbiage CTC is looking for. 50 days, at least 3 hours per day, 2 years. And the employer just has to initial right here. And if they're going to go for a site supervisor, this verbiage is incredibly, incredibly important. 350 days, at least 3 hours per day, 100 days supervising adults. And that's why we prefer this form, or we're just having an employer write a letter. And I think it might be easier for the employer. Now, let's say somebody only volunteered in this one specific preschool for 20 days. So they don't have the full 50. The employer will fill this out, leave this blank, and they will just check off right here where it says total number of days worked or volunteered at least 3 hours per day. So they can write 20 days and then they'll initial it here. And then the employer will go ahead and fill out their school, agency name, address, and all that information. This form is a lot easier to use, in my opinion, than having them do a whole letter and whatnot, because I have seen them get rejected if it does not specifically say that 3 hours per day. Now, let's say somebody owns a family childcare. So applicants may use it. However, it must be licensed by the California Department of Social Services, and you must include Form CL 878 and 2 copies of the CL 877. You also have to show a copy of your small or large license center. And then site supervisor and program director applicants must hold the large family child care home license. And these are what the forms look like. So this is the CL 877, and this will be filled out by the parents or guardians. And then this will be filled out by the applicant. And this is the evaluation sheet that I mentioned earlier, and this is what it looks like. You just have to put the applicant's name here. And what I like to do when I first obtain transcripts is I will open them up and I will immediately see, do they have a degree or not? If they do, you kind of do things a little bit differently. So this is where the child development courses go. And if they have school age emphasis courses, they go right over here in this column. And right here is where you will fill out any general education courses that they have. Remember that they have to have 16 semester units. And right here, I'll write like AA, ECE, BA, ECE, anything like that. And right here is where you will fill out their practicum course, their supervised field experience course. And right here, since I mentioned school age emphasis, is where you will check off if anybody has school age emphasis coursework. And for site supervisor or master teacher, if they have the 6 semester units of a specialization, this is where you will fill it out. And this is also where you will fill it out if they have 6 units in supervision and administration courses. And right here is where adult supervision will go. So as you can tell, there are numerous different options you can qualify somebody. You just have to look at their course descriptions, their transcripts, see what they have, see if you can, what falls under what. And some options are a lot easier than others, and I'll break that down in a minute. So first things first is the assistant permit. So this is the lowest one. This is the very beginning. So there are two ways to qualify somebody. Option one is 6 semester units of ECE or child development. They do not have to be in the core. It can be any six semester units of child development. Or option two, which is an accredited HERO or ROP program in child development related occupations. So that being said, I've been in this position for about 6 years. I've probably only seen 2 ROP certificates. This one you do need 105 hours of professional growth to renew, and this one cannot be renewed online, unfortunately. Next one is the associate teacher permit. Now, I've mentioned at the beginning, this will be your best friend and your enemy all in one, because this is the one that we commonly see a lot of people come in for. And there are 2 options to qualify for this person. One is the 12 semester units of ECE and child development, including 3 core areas of curriculum, child, family, and community, and child development. And you need at least to have 50 days of experience in the last 2 years, or option 2, which is the National Child Development Associate or CDA credential. Now, I've mentioned this is why it's your best friend, because it's one of the ones that most people qualify for because they have the 12 semester units. However, after that, to renew it, it's not the same like the other permits, unfortunately. You do need to have 15 units to renew since the initial issuance date, and after that, you can no longer renew it. However, let's say somebody did not take any courses after they were first issued it. What can they do? Well, they can downgrade to an assistant. All you would have to do on the 41.4 on section 2, where it says like other, just check mark other and then write downgrade. And you don't have to include transcripts or anything like that, because if they've had the associate teacher permit, then they have the 6 semester units to qualify. That's kind of why I said this is your best friend and your enemy all in one, because it's the one that most people qualify for. But after that, it's kind of like, well, do you have the 15 units to move on to the next? And you can totally use remedial courses as part of your 15 units to renew, because CTC understands that sometimes you need to take remedial courses to move on up to the next one. And I've mentioned the core coursework. And what exactly is it? Well, I'll break it down for you. So child growth and development is the study of human development, and it is focusing on child growth and development from conception to adolescence. And this includes cognitive, physical, social, cultural, and emotional development of children. Research, historical data, theories, and recent trends are introduced. So I've mentioned it's the study of human development. So Human Development 101 actually qualifies as, you can use that for a Child Development 101 for part of the core. And let's say somebody has a BA in Human Development. I want to say more than likely they probably have the 24 units to qualify for anything higher than that. And they probably have taken a supervised field experience as well. However, you have to be careful with human development, because I know human development is from like conception to death, essentially. So I've even seen human development that says human development in your 70s. You can't use that, unfortunately. It has to specifically be for, birth through 14, for school age. The next one is child, family, and community. And this examines the relationship among family, school, and community as they impact a child's development. And this includes a study of ethnic diversity, social class, customs or heritage, and gender roles on family behavior, values, morals, attitudes, and the development of children. Like I mentioned previously, I've seen CSU Stanislaus have it under sociology, and it's called the family. But if you look in their course catalog, that is their specific child, family, and community course. So when in doubt, my best advice is always, always, always look at the course catalog if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I even called the registrar a couple times and I've said, hey, I have a question. Can you please answer this? And they're really cool at answering it for you. The third one is programs and curriculum. And this is a general overview of curriculum design for early childhood programs to include planning, preparation, implementation, evaluation of curricular activities, designing a classroom, lesson planning, and the use of observation to guide curriculum and assessment. And sometimes it won't specifically say curriculum on the course title, 90% of the time, I want to say you will see it, but on that off chance that you don't see it, pull up the course description and see what it says. Does it mention curriculum? Does it mention lesson planning, designing a classroom, evaluation of any sort? I always say if it includes those key buzzwords, it is most likely a curriculum course. It might not specifically state that in the title, but I want to say more than likely it will fall under curriculum. And when in doubt, go ahead and contact the child development department and ask, hey, does this fall under this? Does it not? And when in doubt, get a letter. That is my best advice on anything credential wise. When in doubt, get a letter from the college or university to verify that that's exactly what that is. And let's say somebody had a CDA credential. Well, that is equivalent to 9 semester units going towards the 24 units for ECE for the teacher permit. What I do is on that evaluation sheet I showed you earlier, I will write CDA and then 9 where it says units. And like I said, this can only be renewed once. You can only renew using 15 units since initial date of issuance. And like I said, they can be remedial, but they need to be C or better. And this one, just like the assistant permit, you cannot renew this online. However, you can downgrade. And that is something that I have told people is, well, go ahead and downgrade. You do have to pay for it yourself. It's $100 money order, 41.4, that's it. But let's say, they take the 15 units that they need within a year. Well, they can go ahead and then renew their associate teacher permit, which is why I always tell anybody that qualifies for the associate teacher permit, hey, you can only technically have this once. After that, CTC either wants you to obtain your credential, your teacher permit, or downgrade to an assistant. So this is why I said it's your enemy and your best friend all in one. And this is what the CDA credential looks like. Kudos to anybody that can guess to who Edna E. Mode is. Okay, so the third one is the teacher permit. And this one requires 2 options, or there are 2 options to qualify somebody. So option 1 is 24 semesters of ECE or child development and include in the 3 core areas: curriculum, child, family, community, and child development. However, this one requires now 16 semester units in general education in English, social science, math or science, and humanities. And this one requires 175 days of experience in the last 4 years. Or you can go option 2, associate degree or higher in ECE or child development, or 3 semester units of a supervised field experience. Option 2, I've seen a lot of, and that one does not require any experience at all. It's just the degree and the supervised field experience, which is pretty cool, which is why I mentioned some require coursework and, some require experience as well. And this is on the back of that evaluation sheet I showed you guys earlier. And something to note is I've used biological anthropology and our nutrition because it's science-based, and this will fall under science. Computer science courses will fall under math. When in doubt, and if you are like truly like, man, I don't know what this falls under, open the course catalog and see what it says. I've used botany for science. I've used different things where I'm like, okay, what is that? I've seen one where it's like a Harry Potter class. I'm like, what does Harry Potter fall under? English. It doesn't specifically say English. I forgot what it was under, but yeah, it does fall under English. So when in doubt, look at the course catalog, look at the course descriptions and see, okay, what can I put this person under? And do they have the 16 semester units? So something to note is ECE or child development units cannot be used to meet the general education requirements. An example would be children's literature, but it specifically says child development 21, children's literature. You cannot use that to satisfy the English coursework. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to do that. They specifically want you to take like an actual English 1A reading and composition course. And like I said, that's probably a little bit of where people get a little confused at because they take a ton of child development unit courses and not a lot of the general education. And they're like, but I have the 24 units. And you're like, I'm so sorry, but you also need 16. This one can be renewed online, and you need 105 hours of professional growth, 3 semester units and a supervised field experience, and always, always, always convert quarter to semester. Because if not, you will be shy. So I've mentioned the supervised field experience. And what exactly is that? Well, it's a class, and it sometimes is classified as a lab. A practicum is the one that I predominantly see it as, or student teaching. If you're like at a UC or a CSU, I believe it's student teaching. But I've also seen it labeled under fieldwork. So it must be supervised by staff from a regionally accredited college or university, and it has to be either 3 semester units or 4 quarter units. And work experience cannot be used for this requirement. I know sometimes people will say, but I've been in this field for 10 years. Does that count for something? Not for the supervised field experience. Unfortunately, it has to be a class, and it has to be in kindergarten level or below unless you are using school age emphasis. And I will explain that in a minute as well. So, master teacher. There are 2 options to qualify for a master teacher permit. So you need to have the 24 semester units of ECE or child development, including in the 3 core areas. You also need to have 16 semester units in general education. However, this is now requiring 6 more semester units in 1 area of specialization and 2 more semester units in adult supervision. And you need to have 350 days of experience in the last 4 years. Or my personal favorite, option 2. Bachelor's degree or higher, 12 semester units in ECE or in child development, and 3 semester units in supervised field experience. Like I said, so the 6 semester units that you specifically need to focus on one particular area of early childhood education. There are a ton of these, but some examples are infant and toddler care, preschool programming, curriculum, and ESL. And hence why I say, if you're not familiar with that specific college or university, always look at the course catalog, and this is why. So this is from San Joaquin Delta College, and they specifically put down their master teacher specialization. So this is in special needs, this is in infant and development, and this is in preschool. So if somebody says, I want the master teacher permit, cool. Let me see what you have. And then I'll look at it and I'll say, all right, for sure this is special needs. And then I'll even print this off from the course catalog and I will submit it with the application. So that way CTC knows for a fact, this is what San Joaquin Delta College is saying a specialization is. Now, the Child Development Training Consortium also has this amazing form that they also use. So you just have to put the person's name down and the specialization that they're going for and the course number and the title and the number of units, and it has to be 6. And like I said, there are a ton of others, and I will go through some more resources at the end of this slide or at the end of this presentation of what some other ones will be. But you can also use music, preschool programming, bilingual and bicultural, school-age childcare, children with special needs, teacher and family relationships, health and safety, infant and toddler. And like I said on the evaluation form, it's at the very bottom where you can put the area of specialization. And if you have any questions, you can contact the Child Development Training Consortium as well. Now, adult supervision. I've predominantly seen it adult supervision, but I have seen it called adult mentoring as well. And it's a 2-unit semester course, and it has to be in child development or ECE. Now, site supervisor. This is the one that I predominantly see as well. So there are 4 options to qualify for this permit. The first one is an AA or higher or 60 semester units. They need to have 24 units of ECE or in child development, including in the core areas. They need to now have 6 semester units in admin and supervision and 2 units in adult supervision and 350 days of experience, including at least 100 days supervising adults in the last 4 years. Or option 2, which is the one I predominantly see, which is a bachelor's degree or higher, 12 semester units in ECE or child development, or 3 semester units in a supervised field experience, or an admin credential, 12 semester units in ECE or child development, and 3 semester units in a supervised field experience. Or option 4, elementary teaching credential or a secondary and home economics, 12 semester units in ECE or child development, or 3 semester units in a supervised field experience. Something to note is option 2 is the exact same as option 2 for a master teacher. What I recommend is always, always, always go for the higher permit because they can always teach underneath it. So if they don't want to be a site supervisor, they can totally be an assistant and it will be fine. But I always say, go shoot for the stars, get the highest permit. And if you don't want to teach at that level, go underneath it. That's acceptable as well. So what exactly is administration and supervision units? Well, it has to be a minimum of 6, like I said previously, and 1 course must be at the introductory level and 1 must be at the advanced. Or the 2 courses must be different administration supervision topics, such as preschool administration and preschool financial management. I have seen people go from like 2 different colleges, and so they'll take 1 intro here, and then they'll take another intro at another one, and they'll say, no, 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 look, I have the 2 units or the 6 semester units, and I'll say, no, I'm really sorry, but you took 2 intro levels. You can't count that. 1 has to be intro, 1 has to be advanced. So always look at the title of it and look to see, is it intro or is it advanced? Because that too, CTC will reject for that. And the content must include administration, supervision, or management of a child care and development program. So the experience supervising adults. So it's required for a site supervisor under option 1. And this can include supervising teachers, assistants, parent volunteers, anything like that. They have to be an adult. So, 18 years or older. And sectional verification form must be included. So this is why I can't stress this enough. I prefer to just use a child development training consortium's form. You can find that on their website, and I have included a couple of resources as well. But this is why we personally like to use it, just because it has the verbiage that they want. They really want to see, do they have at least 100 days supervising adults? And I have seen this really, really make or break somebody where they're like, why, I don't have that. And I'll say, well, just go somewhere, get that experience and come back. Now, program director. So option 1, you just need a bachelor's degree. It does not have to be an ECE, by the way. It can be any bachelor's degree. And the same thing goes with option 2 for site supervisor. The bachelor's degree does not have to be an ECE. It can be in any bachelor's degree. It can be in business. So somebody can get their BA in business, go back to school and complete 15 units, 12 in ECE and that supervised field experience, and they 100% qualify for a site supervisor permit. So like I said, it does not have to be the bachelor's, does not have to be an ECE. You do need the 24 units of ECE, the 6 semester units in admin and supervision, the 2 units in adult supervision, and the 1 year in child development site supervisor experience. So this is almost exactly the same as option 1. The only difference is you need to prove that you have 1 year of site supervisor experience. And you can have that. Let's say somebody has a teacher permit and they're now upgrading to a program director. Well, if they weren't technically a site supervisor, they can upgrade from a child development teacher permit to a program director once they have all the other requirements. Or option 2, which is an admin credential, the 12 semester units in ECE, and the 3 semester units of a supervised field experience. Or option 3, which is the multiple subject teaching credential, or the home ec, 12 semester units in ECE, the 3 semester units in a supervised field experience, or the 6 semester units in admin of ECE or child development, or the one that I predominantly see, other than option 1, is option 4, which is a master's degree in ECE or child development. And that's the one, option 4 is predominantly what I see. And as you can tell, option 2 and option 3 are the exact from the site supervisor. So that's why I'm always like, well, just shoot for the stars, go for the higher permit. So like I mentioned before, the BA does not have to be an ECE or a child development. And like I said, you can't upgrade from the lower permits as long as they have the experience. So I always like to use the teacher permit as an example, because I have seen people go from a teacher permit to a program director. So here are some additional tips, tricks, and additional information. So I have mentioned school age emphasis. And what exactly is school age emphasis? Well, it's coursework that covers ages birth through 14. And it's 50% of coursework is required to meet that qualification. And it authorizes the holder to provide services and instruction for before and after school. And the applicant should provide a letter if their supervised field experience was school age emphasis. And this is an example of what exactly a school age emphasis course looks like. So this is ECE 280 school age development. So this is their child development 101, but it's school age emphasis. So I'll go ahead and put that on the right-hand side of the column of that evaluation form. And let's say somebody wants to upgrade their permit. Well, they can. So if they upgrade their permit, it's half the processing fee. So instead of a $100 money order, it would be $50 as long as they upgrade within 3 years of the initial permit and never on a renewal. So like, let's say they had the teacher permit and they renewed it for another 5 years. And then they say, well, now I want to upgrade to the site supervisor. And they'll say, well, is it $50? No, unfortunately, you already renewed it and it's been past the 3 years since you initially got it. So it's been a while. So it's a $100 money order. And this must be done via paper, and all transcripts must be resubmitted for evaluation. Sometimes people will say, but they already have my transcripts over at CTC. I always say they get thousands of transcripts. I am 99% sure it would be really impossible for them to find transcripts. And extensions. So extensions are possible on a child development permit, but just know it's take it with a grain of salt. So there is a 2-year extension on renewals for professional growth hours. We have a template, and I will share that shortly as well. But this can only be used once in a lifetime, so use this wisely. The associate teacher permit does not qualify because they do not have that renewal requirement to have the 105 hours of professional growth. And you just have to provide a letter requesting an extension. What my best advice, what I tell everybody, all the applicants, is go to our ECE department, call them and ask if you can speak to a professional growth advisor. How many hours have you taken? Are you sure? Are you barely there? Are you almost there? Because if you are, I want to say 15 hours short, you can take some professional growth or trainings are done online. So I'm like, can you take these online? I would really, really hate for you to use this one-time 2-year extension if you are so close. The next one would be an RGA 7, which is the medical appeal, and this will work on any child development permit. You just have to provide a letter from the applicant explaining the reason and supporting documentation, a doctor's letter, death certificate, anything like that. And it can also be for a family member if you are the primary caretaker. You just need a letter from the doctor. So I've seen that where somebody was the primary caretaker for their husband. He was gravely ill, and the letter from the doctor stated, she's the primary caretaker and, for this many years, and that's all they really need. So the next one is an RGA 20, which is failure to meet renewal requirements. And this is the one for the associate teacher. However, this is nearly impossible. And I've never seen not one be granted, but I guess it's things. So you just need a letter from the applicant stating, following a thorough search, coursework for renewal was not available, and it cannot be a financial reason. And the next one is a letter from the college or university registrar stating that coursework was unavailable during the permit period to fulfill renewal requirement. And this is why I say it's nearly impossible. You basically have to say, there were no classes, no English, no math, no history, nothing was available. And we've had someone try to go this route, and the guidance counselor was like, we're not writing this letter because she could have taken this courses or he could have taken this course. So that's why I'm saying it's extremely, extremely difficult to prove, and it's nearly impossible. It's just not going to happen. And the Child Development Training Consortium is an amazing resource for your applicants as well. They offer tuition reimbursement, permit application fee stipends, professional growth advisors, and course lookup. And this is the website that I love. At this time, they ran out of funding. And I always tell everybody around March, April is when they kind of start running out of funding. I always just shoot them an email around February. And I say, hey, how does your funding look like around this time of year? And they'll say, hey, you know what? We are really, really low. We recommend everybody just kind of submit it on their own at this point, or they'll tell me, no, 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 we still have money. Keep them coming. So that's why around February is when I kind of email them myself and I kind of inquire. But that is their email address and that is their phone number. And at this time, they are also covering renewals and upgrades for all the levels, but always refer to the website for any updates and changes. And if you want more information, you can simply refer to the CL 797 that have all your child development needs. So let's do a quick, what does this person qualify for? So I see ESL, so we're going to ignore that. And then I see early child development 50, principles and practices, and that they got an A, and that's 3 semester units. So I'm going to go ahead and put that here, 50 and 3. And look, I see child growth and development. They got a B, 3 semester units. I'll put 56 here and 3 here. And then it says child, family, and community. They got an A and 3. So I'll put that here. And we got really, really lucky. It says early childhood curriculum. We know for a fact that's a curriculum. I'll put that right here. So they have more than 12 semester units. They automatically qualify for an associate teacher if they have the 50 days of experience. And this is an example of what a school age emphasis looks like. This teacher has a multiple subject teaching credential. She has a BA in liberal studies, so most likely she has school age emphasis coursework. So any of the child development coursework we'll put right here, and anything school age emphasis we'll put on this side. And I will check off school age emphasis here. And something to note is for me personally, if I see BA liberal studies, 12 semester units and a supervised field experience, I will most likely go option 2. That's my best route. I will just go option 2. She has a BA, 12 semester units, supervised field experience, boom, call it a day. And then we also have a template that we will give her that states you need to go to your college where you did your field work and have them fill out something. And I will show you what that looks like as well. So let me go ahead and show you some resources that we have. So I've mentioned extensions. This is the template that we use if somebody needs to meet professional growth hours. It's very short and simple to the point. All it says is date. I, Stephanie Magdaleno, am requesting a one-time 2-year extension on my professional growth hours. I understand this is only allowable once in my career, and then we'll have the applicant sign it. We'll go ahead and send it off to CTC, just like that. And we haven't had any issues with this template. And these are all available in the Google Docs, which we've been sending periodically throughout this presentation. And we also gave you a little bit more information on the extensions and what you can and cannot do. COVID-19 was a popular one that we've used during COVID. And there is no end date on these, but we haven't seen anybody use that since COVID. Next would be the Master Teacher Specialization Form. I've included it here, and this is the one that we like to use from the Child Development Training Consortium. It's just real friendly, it's user-friendly, it's easy to use, and it has all the information that you need. However, I've mentioned there are a ton of specializations, and here is a list that you can use. I always look at the course descriptions, look at it, look at the course catalog, and I'll say, okay, you know, I see they have sign language. Let's shoot for sign language. Or I see the one that I see a lot. Um, it's probably the bilingual one. I've seen that one a lot. So there's different things that you can do with it. It all just kind of depends on what specifically they have taken. Uh, and I've mentioned school age emphasis. So let's say somebody has a multiple subject teaching credential and they're going to go for school age emphasis, but you're not 100% sure if CTC will accept those, but you're like, I know there's school age emphasis. So this is the template that we have that we give our applicants, and it has the educator's full name, and it says, took the following school age emphasis course at our college or university. Course number, course title, and what grade was it? If it was 5 year, if it was 7th grade, 8th grade, anything like that, and they'll go ahead and sign it and put their title there. And then it needs to be signed by the dean of the early childhood department or the multiple subject credential program or even the registrar. And I've mentioned supervised field experience. So this is also another template that we have given our people that have like a multiple subject credential and they're going to go for school age emphasis to qualify for that permit. They just have to fill it out, their name right here, did their student teaching, practicum, supervised field experience through our college or university in the following grade levels, 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade. And then they'll put their course number right here. And then it'll be signed, like I said, by the program, by the dean or the co-chair of the ECE department, the registrar, anything like that. And here are a couple resources that we have also included. This is something that our ECE department has passed out, but this is also something that the Child Development Training Consortium has passed out in the past, which is any unit that a person can take. So if they're curious, like, okay, what qualifies under a child, family, and community? Well, these are the courses that they can take. They can go any one of these and say, all right, where can I go to Riverside College? Well, you can go here. And theirs is, or San Joaquin Delta College, anything like that. So I always pass this out when people ask questions like, well, where can I go for this? Or where can I go for that? Or I'll say, oh, you're really missing the curriculum course. They'll go ahead and I'll give them one of these and I'll say, call the college and see if you can take it here. Something to note is the conversion chart. I always say, go to the SIG. It's a lot easier. Just type in the number. I'll give it for you there. But this is something that we also have while we're doing the evaluation. And I'm like, okay, how many units is that? How many quarter units is 3.5? It's 2.3. So that's something else if you guys want to keep handy. Definitions, if you guys also need definitions, if you guys are wondering like, well, what exactly is adult supervision? Well, it's a course designed to help individuals develop knowledge and skills for effective communication with and supervision of adults. And it should include basic issues of personnel management skills and in interpersonal communication of knowledge of how adults learn. So if you have any questions on specific definitions, this is it right here as well. And something that we've created, that we've used that has worked really well for us is we've had this little thing in case you're wondering like, okay, what is spring? Well, spring is January to May and fall semester is usually August to December. If you have any questions like small family daycare, if they have one, it's a total capacity of 8, a large is 14. So we've also given you guys this resource for you guys to use. The matrix, I prefer the evaluation sheet when I hand it to people so they can specifically see what exactly they're missing. But this is another great resource if you want to hand this to your people and just say, hey, what do you think of this? This is what you need to upgrade, or, this is what you're missing. Like I said, I prefer more the evaluation because I physically see what I'm missing versus this just kind of gives people like a little rundown of what exactly they might need. And this is the Child Development Permit Professional Growth Manual, in case you're wondering, like, well, who can qualify as a professional growth advisor? This has all the information that you need. It's 33 pages. If you have an ECE department or anything like that, or a Head Start department, you can totally print out and give them to your people, and I'm sure they will love it as well. And this even says like how you can convert course units to clock hours, which is amazing in my opinion. And I've also included some examples in case you guys are wondering. We can do one. I think I might be a little short on time. So Buzz Lightyear, let's go with him. So Delta is really cool in my opinion because theirs is all, straightforward. So ICPE, religion, Spanish, we're going to go down until I see a child development course. And Buzz Lightyear has child development. He got a B. He also has the child, family, and community, which is another B, and they're all 3 semester units. And I know 31A, principles and practices, 3 units. I know that's their curriculum. So I will put that under their curriculum course. And child health and safety, I'll put that as the 4. So they have the 12 semester unit, so they qualify for an associate teacher. Now, the reason why I know 31A is a curriculum is because obviously they're in Stockton, and so am I, but their course catalog will have it on there that this is their curriculum. So that's amazing. And this person is also taking an admin course. So for child development, this is 38. This is admin 2. Now, the other one would say child development 37, admin 1. So that's how you can tell this is the advanced and admin 1 would be the intro level. And Wonder Woman also is applying for a child development permit. And she is going to go for a program director. So she has a BA in education. She has the 24 units of ECE. She also has the supervision, the admin and supervision unit. She has the adult supervision down here. The only thing that we don't know is whether or not she has the 1 year of child development site supervisor experience, which I'm 99% sure Wonder Woman has that, hands down. But I have included this here. Something to note, like I said, this is adult supervision mentoring. So that's why I'm saying it can either say adult supervision, adult mentoring, different things like that. And this one's also school age programs. So depending on the college or university, they all kind of say the same thing. Some things don't. This one says child, family, community, and culture, but that's the child, family, and community unit. This one's curriculum, methods, and assessment, so everyone has them a little bit different. You just kind of look and see like, okay, what do they have? If I look at the course catalog, if I look at the course descriptions, does it specifically say this is for ECE? Does it specifically say this is a curriculum course? I know that's the one thing that people always struggle with is this a curriculum or is this not? Well, look at the definition, look at the course description. If those key buzzwords are in there, even like one buzzword, I'll say, you know what, it has it in there. I'll let the applicant know I'm a little iffy on it, but the Child Development Training Consortium is going to pay for it. Do you want to shoot it off? When in doubt, look at the course catalog, look at the course description. And even if I am iffy, I always call the registrar, or I'll always call and I'll say, hey, I have a question. Can you please explain to me what exactly this means? And the college university has always been super amazing, and they will tell me like, yeah, that qualifies, or you know what, no, I'm sorry, that does not qualify. And the third example is someone that, why do I have it? They are going to go for school age emphasis as well, and I have it all on here if we had time, which I think we're running out. So if you guys want to go ahead and look at it, you totally can. But this person has a BA in ECE, so automatically I will put that down here. For a bachelor's degree or higher, they have the 12 semester units and they have the 3 units in the supervised field experience. Oh, and here it is. So they do not have any of the core areas, which is fine because you don't need the core areas. You just need any 12 semester units in ECE or child development, and they have 15. And the supervised field experience, they had 2. So because you need 3. So 4940 and 4948, which equals 4 units, and 4940 is under internship and seminar. So that's why I always say, when in doubt, look at the course catalog and see exactly what it is. Or even the person will tell you, no, that was my practicum, I promise you. And then I'll look it up and I'll say, okay, yeah, you're right, that is what it is. So this is my presentation. Please let me know if you guys have any questions, put them in the Q&A, and we'll be sure to answer them later on.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. We are going to take a 10-minute break, and at 10:05, we will start with the TK UPK presentation. Thanks again. Okay, welcome back. We are going to get started with UPK and TK. So UPK is universal pre-kindergarten, and TK is transitional kindergarten. And again, I'm Amy Nicewonger with the San Joaquin County Office of Education. Okay, UPK. What is UPK? It is universal pre-kindergarten. UPK will bring together programs across early learning and K through 12, relying heavily on Universal Transitional Kindergarten, which is UTK, and California State Preschool Program, CSPP, as well as Head Start, community-based organizations, CBOs, and private preschool. Universal means that by 2025-26, regardless of background, race, zip code, immigration status, or income level, every child has access to quality learning experience the year before kindergarten. TK. The Kindergarten Readiness Act of 2010 created transitional kindergarten, the first year of a 2-year kindergarten experience. This historic legislation means that more than 120,000 children would have access to an additional year of high quality early learning, and as a result, be better prepared to succeed in kindergarten and beyond. In 2021, legislation was passed that requires any school district operating a kindergarten to also provide a TK program for all children who turn 4 years old by September 1st by the year 2025-26. The age at which children are eligible for TK changes from 22-23 to 25-26. So you can see for the 23-24 school year, Children who will turn 5 years old between September 2nd and April 2nd are eligible for TK. So that's next school year. The following 24-25 school year, children who turn 5 years old between September 2nd and June 2nd are eligible for TK. And then the big years, the 25-26 school year. And each school year thereafter, children who turn 4 years old by September 1st are eligible for TK. So the asterisk is those are inclusive of these dates. So TK, UPK, and P through 3. TK is an integral program in the mixed delivery system for achieving UPK. It will be the only program that must serve any 4-year-old child that wants to enroll by 25-26. UPK is a mixed delivery system of UTK, CSPP, Head Start, expanded learning, private providers, and more. It provides every 4-year-old child access to high quality learning the year before kindergarten. P through 3 connects UPK with kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. It aligns developmentally informed best practices UPK through 3rd grade. So here is the additional requirement required by CDE. So we will go over the form that we have created at our county, but the basic education code is education code 48,000G. So what that is it requires credentialed teachers who are first assigned to a TK classroom after July 1st, 2015 to have one of the following by August 1st, 2023. Now there is an assembly bill out there that is in the works to change that to August 1st, 2028. Again, this has been delayed multiple times with COVID, and now again, a new assembly bill out there. So I'm pretty sure right now, we'll go over that a little bit later, that it will probably go through, but as of right now, it still stands as August 1st, 2023. So your teachers will need to have at least, so one of these, at least 24 units in early childhood education or child development or both, professional experience in a classroom setting with preschool age children comparable to the 24 units of education described in bullet 1. And the comparability is determined by the local employing agency or a child development teacher permit issued by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing or higher. So again, education code 48,000G4. So G, as a condition of receipt of apportionment for pupils in a transitional kindergarten program pursuant to section 46,300, a school district or charter school shall do all of the following. So one is maintain an average TK class enrollment of not more than 24 pupils for each school site. 2, commencing with the 22-23 school year, maintain an average of at least 1 adult for every 12 pupils for TK classrooms. 3, commencing with the 23-24 school year, maintain an average of at least 1 adult for every 10 pupils for TK classrooms, contingent upon appropriation of funds for this purpose. And 4, ensure that credentialed teachers who are first assigned to a TK classroom after July 1st, 2015 have by August 1st, 2023, one of the following. So again, it's the 24 units in ECE child development, professional experience comparable to the 24 units, or a child development teacher permit or higher. So this is the form that we use at our County Office of Education. And basically the transitional kindergarten, again, was effective 7/1/2015. And we're going to put the teacher's name and their school. And so anyone who can teach kindergarten can teach transitional kindergarten. So these are the credentials that are allowed for that. So we would just be checking off which credential the teacher has. So if they have a general credential, they can have a kindergarten through primary, which authorizes K-3, an elementary, which authorizes K-8. If we go to the standard, again, these are the older teaching credentials. Standard, they can have an early childhood, which is preschool through 3rd grade, or an elementary, which is kindergarten through grade 9. Now, the current ones, the Ryan and the SB 2042s, they can have a multiple subject, which is preschool, K through 12 and adults. And this can include, if you put them on a a GLAP which is a general education limited assignment, a STIP, a PIP, which are emergency type permits, or a waiver. So a multiple subject university intern authorizes the same as the regular multiple subject teaching credential, and a multiple subject district intern is K through 8. There also is a specialist instruction credential in early childhood education, which is an add-on to like a multiple subject credential. So that's not to be confused with the new regulations for the new credential that is being proposed at right now, that is in Office of Administrative Law. So there is an emergency option now. So it's called the Emergency Specialist Teaching Permit in Early Childhood Education, or the Emergency TK Permit, or ETK. So that's the newest one. We have not issued any in our county yet, but I know some people have issued these. So we'll go over the requirements for the ETK permit later in this presentation. So also, you can assign someone on a local assignment option to be teaching transitional kindergarten, whether you use one of the education codes listed below or you have found another one. So education code 44258.3 would need to be for the self-contained class, not the departmentalized. So, and that's based on subject matter competence. And I'll give you the link to look up any education code in that later, where you can see exactly what's needed for each local assignment option. And I know it was touched on briefly in other presentations too. Education code 44263 for a self-contained class is based on 60 units in the 10 areas. So I always recommend using the PIP STIP evaluation worksheet. The units have to be equally distributed in 10 areas with only a 3-unit variance. So again, you can look at that actual code to see if that might be something that works for one of your teachers who maybe have a different teaching credential. And then education code 44865 is used for non-traditional settings. So an example might be an independent study charter school. And then the second part on this form, again, we have their teaching credential, which authorizes them to teach, TK kindergarten. The second part, again, is the CDE requirement. So that they hold at least the 24 units in early childhood education, child development, or both, no school age coursework, and then, or as determined by the LEA, employing the teacher, professional experience in a classroom setting with preschool age children that is comparable to the 24 units in ECE, child development, or both, or a child development teacher permit or higher issued by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, or the teacher was assigned to teach TK students prior to July 1st, 2015. And you can put in the date there. The third part that we include on our form is the teacher holds appropriate English learner authorization. So we will mark that on there too. And then we sign off on it, and then we do put this in their personnel file. So this is something that we would use to make sure a teacher is good on their CTC requirement and good on their CDE requirement to teach transitional kindergarten. The next part is just kind of explaining that form. So this is on the back side of our form, and this is in our Google Docs. All of these forms are in there too. So information on number 2. So the 24 units in early childhood education or child development, or both, again, no school age coursework. The coursework needs to be primarily related to children ages 5 or younger. 1 semester unit is equal to 124 hours. So 24 semester units is equal to 2,880 hours. And semester units need to be converted to quarter units need to be converted to semester units. All coursework should be passed with a grade C- or better, pass or credit, should be non-remedial, associate's degree or higher, and be obtained through a regionally accredited college or university. The second part, for professional experience in a classroom setting with preschool age children that is comparable to the 24 units in early childhood or child development, or both. So this is so you can use center-based preschool setting as a lead teacher. So 1.5 years of full day experience, so that's 8 hours per day times 246 days would equal the 24 units, or 4 years of part day experience of 4 hours per day times 180 days. So basically, those would be the two things that would meet the 24 units as far as experience goes. The third part is a teacher was assigned to teach TK students prior to July 1st, 2015. So again, any current credentialed teacher who is or was assigned to teach TK or a combination class of TK and kindergarten on or before 7/1/15 is grandfathered in to teach TK without having to meet additional requirements. Once grandfathered, the teacher remains grandfathered. The TK experience does not need to be continuous and needs to be 1 semester or more. And the term assigned means that a credentialed teacher is directed or hired to teach TK. This TK teacher may or may not have taught TK prior to 7/1/15. Therefore, the terms assigned and taught are not necessarily interchangeable. And some notes that we've put on here too is no combining units and professional experience. Substitute TK teachers are not required to meet the additional TK teacher requirements. TK requirements are only for general education classrooms. Currently, no additional requirements for special ed TK classrooms, so that's huge. And TK requirements are required for non-classroom based charters. So again, those alternative settings, they still need to meet this CDE requirement in addition to being properly authorized for their credential. So we're going to go over the options. So option 1 for TK is, again, the 24 units in ECE, child development, or both. So we use this form. So you're going to get, what you're going to do is you're going to gather all of your employees or your applicants' transcripts, and you're going to go to the back of the transcript key. So we've talked about this in previous presentations too, that you always want to look at the transcript key. So what am I going to look at the transcript key? I'm going to make sure that the school is regionally accredited. And then I'm going to look to see if the units are semester or quarter. And then also for any child development or ECE units, I want to make sure they're passed with the grade C- or better, pass or credit, and they're non-remedial. So you're, again, going to want to look at that key to make sure that you're not selecting any remedial coursework. So again, we would put this in their personnel file to go along with the form that we completed earlier. So you would put the teacher's name, what school they're at, and then you would fill out the department, the course number, the course title, whether it's semester or quarter units, what grade they received, and you want to make sure you get a total of those 24 units. So I'm going to give you an example. Also on here, if you want to add a column for the schools, you're more than welcome. If you want to attach course descriptions, that's always a good thing for backup purposes. But here's an example one. So this teacher went to 3 different colleges, possibly even 4, because I see a lot of different departments on here. So we put the department, we put the course number, and then the course title. You can see most of the course titles talk about children, etc. So you're going to know that they meet the child development or ECE requirement. And you can see the units there, they're semester, and then some are quarter. So the quarter ones I converted to semester just to make it easy. And it will automatically calculate your number here. So this person has 24.7 units. So they would definitely meet the requirement. And all of their grades are C- or better, pass or credit. So this would be an example of how to complete that form. Or like I said, you could add more stuff to the form if needed on that first option, the 24 units in ECE, child development, or both. There are also a couple programs that I found that the person can take within 1 year to meet, the 24 units if this is something they wanted to do, and maybe they need units on the salary schedule, something of that nature. So I'm going to go into, oh, it's not letting me go. I will go into these at the end then. Okay, so basically the University of Laverne is 6 online classes with 24 units, and it's done in 12 months. And then University of California Riverside Extension offers another program, which is 8 online classes, 36 units, which are quarter units. So that equals 24 semester units, and it's 12 months. So again, I'll take you into these a little bit later. The second option for TK experience is, again, professional experience comparable to the 24 units. So we have templates for these. And these, again, are in the Google Docs too. So the first one is a sample letter of full-time work experience from the employer. So you want to have this on company letterhead, and it's verification of full-time work experience. So you're going to have them dated. You're going to have them put the applicant's full name, their position title, what age ranges they were working with, the dates of employment, so the beginning and end date, the name of the person verifying employment and their title, and then their phone number, email address, and then they're going to sign it. So we have on all of our forms still originally signature. It can be that, it can be one of the electronic signatures too, whether it be PDF, Adobe, Sign Now, things of that nature. So there are other options now too. So here's an example. And we want to know, would this person have the experience needed if they wanted to teach TK at your district, county office, charter, whatever it may be. So this person needs at least 1.5 years of 8 hours per day. So we got this letter stating that, you know, Jane Smith is a teacher. She taught 0 through 4. She did it from 2020 to current, which is April 27th, 2023. So tomorrow. And the person verifying the employment is Sean Wright. And this is for some kind of organization that does childcare. And they signed it. So this person, yes, would meet the requirements for the professional experience because they have over 1.5 years of experience of 8 hours per day. And it is in an instructional type capacity. The next verification that we have is for part-time experience. So very similar. So it's going to be, you know, the date, the applicant's name, their title, age range, beginning and end date, part-time. So again, that's 4 hours per day for 4 years at least, and specified number of hours worked per year. So we're going to, you know, if they've done 4 years or if they've done more, they can always add on here. So the name of the person, their telephone number, and their email. So we're going to give an example of this now. So this person, again, it's Jane Smith. She was a teacher, children ages 0 to 4, started in 2019 to present. And each year she worked over 1,000 hours. So she's good. I think when I calculated it from our original sheet, they had to work a little over 700 to get that part-time experience, but this person has done way more. So she definitely qualifies. This person would be okay to meet the additional requirement for CDE to teach TK students. So again, make sure you're verifying all the person's information and signature. The next example is a person who maybe the daycare has closed. So this can happen quite a bit. Whether or not your agency would accept this is completely up to you. Because again, it is hard to verify this stuff, but we do request certain information from them to verify it. So basically, this person's saying, this letter is to verify employment experience for myself. I have made a sincere effort to contact my previous employer. Some examples of how they've tried to contact them, they can list that out there. And then they can give their employer's information for when they were employed by them, their title, the age ranges they worked with, their beginning date and end date, and how many hours per day in an instructional capacity they worked. Some other information that could help you verify that, if this is something that you want to accept, would be if they have their job description, if they have their tax return showing that they did in fact work there, and if they have maybe some parent verifications, if they still, you know, see the parents, or they maybe work with them at another daycare or something like that. So again, whether or not you would accept this is totally up to you, but this is something that could be an option. So, and then I'm going to give you an example of how that may be completed. So this person turned this in, and yes, this person would qualify if you went ahead and accepted this. They're saying, you know, they did a Google search looking for, you know, the employer, whether they had a parent company, Maybe they went by the old building to see, you know, hey, is there anyone still left there cleaning up? Maybe something of that nature. They try to find a phone number of their previous supervisor, things of that nature. So again, what you would allow and not allow is completely up to you as the local education agency. So again, they're giving the information of the employer. They were a teacher there, their age ranges, the dates they were employed there. So maybe again, this hits like around COVID. So maybe the agency went out of business or something like that. And they worked 8 hours per day. And they gave us their tax return and they gave us some parent verification forms. So we're going to go over some examples of parent verification forms too. So this is something that the Commission on Teacher Credentialing gives, Child Development Training Consortium gives. These forms are readily available. I believe Stephanie even has them in our Google Drive. So again, a parent could fill something like this out, stating that the name of the person at the child care facility provided instructional, they worked with their children in instructional capacity for this date to this date, and you know, one parent can sign it or both parents can sign it. So here's an example of how the form might be filled out. So again, Jane Smith worked at Jay's daycare or A+ daycare, whatever it may have been. Here's their date that they started with them, when they ended, and the parent's signature would go on here. So this could be something that could supplement it if they still have contact with the parents. Okay, option 3 for TK experience, child development teacher permit or hire. So I know Stephanie went over one example with you. We're going to go over some more examples. So here's some transcripts. This teacher has a multiple subject teaching credential, and we want to get them a site supervisor permit with school age emphasis. So that again is the easiest option that we choose for most of our TK teachers. And we've had all of them granted so far. So this is the option that we choose. Again, you can choose any of the options, but I'm going to give you a couple minutes to look over these transcripts, and then we will go over them to see what's needed. So you're going to be looking for that option 4. So you're going to be looking for 6 units in child development and 6 units in school age, and then also their student teaching or practicum. So I'll give you just a minute here to look these over. Again, these are from 2 different colleges. Okay, so again, we know that we're going with option 4, that this teacher has an elementary teaching credential. So that's that TC2. We're going to go look for 12 semester units in ECE or child development. Actually, we're looking for 6 in child development and ECE, and then 6 in school age. So what I have shown you here is, again, child development 21, child and adolescent development 3 units. So this is on the child development side. Again, children with special needs. This would be their 6 units, and they have even more of the 6 units for of the 12 that are needed. So then we're going to go over to the school age emphasis side. You're usually going to find them where they're doing their all their coursework for their actual credential. So we can see that they have literacy development for their multiple subject credential, and they have some curriculum theory. So those would be, again, over the 6 units needed of the 12 to split it for school age emphasis. And then we're going to look for that student teaching. So we can see all the professional practice, education 270, there's quite a few on here, are going to equal over that 3 units, semester units for student teaching for supervised field experience. So yes, this teacher would qualify for a child development site supervisor with school age emphasis. Again, they have the multiple subject credential. They have the 12 units, so splitting 6 with child development, 6 with school age, And then they have the 3 units of supervised field experience. Here's another example. So again, this person holds a multiple subject teaching credential. So go ahead and take a look at these and see if you can identify the courses for child development and ECE versus the school age emphasis classes. I'll give you a couple minutes. Okay, so here are the courses that we have selected. So again, this person holds an elementary teaching credential, so that's the TC2. And then we're going to look for the 6 units of ECE or child development, and then 6 units of school age emphasis. So right up here, we have gender and ethnicity, child literature. So there's 3 units. And then we have theater 3020, which is children's theater for 3 units with an A. So that would give the 6 units on the ECE child development side. And then as far as the school age goes, we would give mathematic methods and then science and health methods. So again, both of those were passed with A's and they got 3 units. So again, that gives them the 12 units between child development and ECE, and then the school age units. And then the 3 units of supervised field experience. We have the student teaching practicums down here. So we have a 3-unit one and a 5-unit one for credit. So again, this teacher would meet the requirements for a child development site supervisor permit with school age emphasis. Again, option 4, elementary teaching credential, 12 units split among 6 and 6, and then the 3-unit supervised field experience. So now we're going to talk about, this is kind of CTC's emergency response to this TK requirement. So so this is the emergency specialist teaching permit in early childhood education. So we call it the emergency ETK permit. So effective July 1st, 2022, CDE section 300J provides the commission the authority to issue 1-year emergency specialist teaching permits in early childhood education. The emergency specialist teaching permit in early childhood education, also referred to as the emergency transitional kindergarten permit, so ETK permit, is available at the request of a local educational agency, LEA, that is unable to recruit a fully credentialed teacher to serve in a TK assignment. The ETK permit authorizes the holder to teach all subjects in a self-contained TK class in a general education setting. So the requirements for this are a BA or higher, a child development teaching permit or higher, the CL 908, which we'll go into that a little bit later, satisfaction of one of the following. So 24 semester units of coursework in the field of child development or ECE, possession of a BA or higher degree in ECE, child development, or a similar major, and beginning 7/1/2023, have 3 or more years of full-time experience in a TK setting, preschool age, early childhood, or child development program, or a combination of these experiences. So again, these are issued 1 year at a time. It can be renewed once, and this is identified on the Declaration of Need. The Declaration of Need has not been updated yet. Hopefully it will be updated soon, but you can definitely add this on there. So the next thing that is on the horizon is the PK through 3 ECE specialist instruction credential. So the PK through 3 ECE specialist instruction credential focuses on developmentally appropriate practices for young children in grades PK through 3. These teachers are expected to design, implement, and facilitate learning activities throughout this grade span, which engage students according to their developmental levels. The regulatory packet submitted to the Office of Administrative Law, so OAL, is still moving through the approval process. The packet will establish the credential requirements in law. Therefore, no PK through 3 EC credential program can be given full approval until the regulations have been approved. And I know at the last meeting, there were some additions to the regulations as far as subject matter competence goes and some different stuff. So that just happened on April 21st. So you can see the different changes that have been made with these links here on table 5 and agenda item 3I. So you can go ahead and go through that. And then commission staff will submit these regulations to the OAL for review and approval, and a program sponsor alert will be posted when the proposed regulations become effective. So again, this is all up, it's still at OAL. Hopefully everything will be accepted, be passed, but there is a lot of ongoing information on this, so I didn't want to give too much on it yet. So, but we will link you to the CTC webpage on it. So AB 1555. So this basically is changing the requirements. This is an assembly bill that, so right now the TK requirement is August 21st, 2023. Basically, this bill is changing it until August 1st, 2028. So the deadline for a credentialed teacher first assigned to a TK classroom on or after July 1st, 2015 to meet one of the designated criteria referenced above and would make a conforming change to the above described withholding provision. So again, I'm going to take you to where this is at in the process right now, but this would delay it to August 1st, 2028. We've had many delays because of COVID, and then now this one too. So here is the link to the website for bills, and we will go into this later. And basically you can type in any bill information and you can add them to your favorites. They'll send you emails. You can track the bills. The last time I looked at this bill, you can kind of see it started in February, and here we are as of 4/20. Basically on 4/19, it was due pass and it was sent to the consent calendar. And on 4/20, read second time ordered to consent calendar. So this is where we are at with the process last time I checked. And so definitely it's something that you can follow to see if it passes, if it's signed, any of that information. So, and that can all be done at this website up here. Okay, so CDE has office hours. So the Early Education Division, EED, is hosting universal pre-kindergarten office hours. So the registration is usually limited at 500. We gave you a link to how to another website to get a lot of UPK resources, and then to register for their webinars. Here's the link for that also. So you can go ahead and sign up for those there. And then once you've signed up, they usually send you links to the latest and greatest too. Frequently asked questions. So we have ETK FAQs, California Department of Ed, UPK FAQs, and then also TK FAQs. So we link you to all of these, and we'll go into these in just a minute. It's not letting me do it from here right now. So, and then resources. So we have Credential Information Alert 1108. So all of this pertains to TK. So Credential Information Alert 2210, PSA 2216, the CTC TK page, PK through 3 ECE Specialist Instruction Credential webpage through CTC, Emergency Specialist Teaching Permit and ECE. So that's leaflet CL 909. So we link you to that. And also another link to the CL 908 verification of requirements for the ETK permit. And we give you some email addresses, one for CTC and one for CDE. So it's ece@ctc.ca.gov and CDE is upk@cde.ca.gov. And again, we will have Q&A at 2 o'clock today. And here's my information should you need additional information. And let me try to get out of here and get you into some of these resources. So let's see here. Stop my share. Give me 1 minute here. Okay, so we are in the Google Drive folder, and Stephanie showed you earlier where a lot of her stuff is. So in here, you'll be able to see in the TK UPK part, the full-time work experience example, if you need to use this for reference. So this is here. We have the part-time work example, which is right in here too. Self-verifying that you could not contact your employer and that information here. We also have a link to our form. So again, you can change this up however needed. This is what's been working for us. So again, you're verifying the credential requirements, then you're verifying the CDE requirements, and then the English learner authorization. And then on the back side, again, we just kind of give an overview of what notes we have and what information we've gathered from CTC and CDE. So hopefully that will be helpful to you. And then the verification of childcare attendance is also in here too. So, okay, let me get out of here, and then I will try to get you into some of the leaflets that we talked about here. So here's one of the programs. So this is the University of Laverne, which has the TK program. So here is information on that. So you get a transitional kindergarten teaching certificate. And here's the information at a glance. So you have the 24 units. It is a 12-month program. It is all online, which is really, really nice. And the cost per unit is $200. So again, but this may be something that your teachers could use on the salary schedule. So, and again, it gives a little bit more information here. So, and then let me go to the program for Riverside. All right, so here's UC Riverside's. And you can see that it is at 5560. Again, it's in an online format, takes about 12 months and is 36 units. And it goes into the requirements that are needed. Bachelor's degree. And they may transfer the units to earn a master's also. Certification information. And what it's designed for and the required coursework. So it'll give you all the information when the courses can be taken and all of that. So that's really, really nice. All right, let me get into some other stuff to show you here. Okay, so the CL 908. So here is the CL 908 for the verification of requirements for the emergency TK permit. So again, it's going to have the name, their employing agency. You're going to be verifying that they have a bachelor's degree or higher from a regionally accredited college or university, that they hold a valid California child development teacher permit or higher, and that they satisfy one of the following. And again, we're going to need to have the DON on file, the declaration of need. And then the employing agency shall provide orientation, mentoring, and support. And then this is if they're renewing. So this would be the form that you would use if you are doing the emergency TK permit. So. And then, let's see what else is going to show. So I'm going to show you the website for the ledge. So this is the website link for if you want to look up any education codes, you can type them in here. So here's 44263, and you're going to get the information on that for this local assignment option. So you're going to be able to see all of that information. You're going to be able to go over here and you can type in the AB 1555, the new bill on TK, and go to that. And it's going to give you an analysis. So the history, again, is what you've seen on my slideshow. So that's where the last thing that they've updated on here, the second time order to consent calendar. So this is a really good website to use for all of that information. Again, you can track the bill, you can add it to your favorites, and they'll email you any updates on there too. So next is, here's the information where you can register for the office hours. And the last one was on April 12th. So, but they'll always have the slides here and everything else. So these are good things to go back to. So we have on here the ETK FAQ. So this is a commission webpage that talks about the ETK permit and what's needed. So again, I'm going to go over these fast because we're limited on time, but just show you kind of what is on each webpage. California Department of Ed FAQs webpage is right here. So anytime you're in the CDE website, you can always search up here. You could type in UPK, TK, and it's going to give you all kinds of information on it. Here's their TK one. So that was the UPK. Now here's their TK one. So they have all kinds of information from funding to class size to instructional time, all of that kind of information, and their emails, phone numbers. So the one good thing is the resources here. So these credential information alerts are very, very good to look at to refer back to information. So this one was issued in 2011 when it was pretty new. So this talks about TK assignments. So you can always refer to this credential information alert. Here's credential information alert 2210. This is a little bit more updated. So this one talks about the emergency specialist permit. So this is talking about the emergency TK permit if you wanted more information on that. There's also a program sponsor alert. So again, the commission issues credential information alerts, they issue code of correspondence, and they issue program sponsor alerts. So all of these are very good to look at. All of them sometimes give the same or a little bit different information, not contradictory, but just where you may get a little bit more information. So again, this is updates on requirements for teaching TK. Here is the CTC TK page on the credential information guide, which is pretty handy. So again, it covers kind of what we have on that form as to what's needed for teaching TK. So again, the commission is going to give you a little bit of a different perspective because theirs is more credentialing versus the CDE, which is the requirements for the apportionment. So the next one is, this is a huge one. So this is the new thing that's being introduced, the PK through 3 ECE specialist instruction credential. So there is so much information on here, from the handbook to FAQs to all the PowerPoint presentations to the agenda items to recorded meetings and webinars. All kinds of information on here as far as the PK through 3 goes. Lots of things you can watch or look at, more than you would ever need. So this is definitely a good resource on the new authorization that's coming. This is the leaflet for the emergency specialist teaching permit in early childhood education. So again, all leaflets are on the commission's website, and this is the leaflet for that. And I already linked you to the CL 908, which is the to verify the emergency TK requirements. So again, you'll want to make sure and use that if you're applying for it. You'll want to make sure and have that on your declaration of need. I know in previous presentations, we did go over the declaration of needs. So, and hopefully the commission will be updating it. So, and as always, you can email the commission or CDE. They always are readily available for us. So I would definitely use all of these resources. The one that I didn't click on here, which gives a lot more information, is for California Educators Together. It talks about UPK and P through 3. And again, this will even link you to resources from the commission and CDE. So down here a little bit more, I saw it. So all this kind of information on here. So there's so much support out there. There's so many different listservs. There's all kinds of information. And so definitely take advantage of it. And definitely, if you have any questions, go ahead and start finishing typing them in the Q&A. We will start at 2 o'clock with the Q&A session to answer all of your questions regarding child development, regarding TK, UPK, any wrap-up questions that you have from any of the previous presentations. So go ahead and get those in there, and then we will see you at 2 o'clock today. Thank you. We will keep this webinar open until 11 o'clock, which is just 5 more minutes to finish answering, to type in your questions in there for the 2 o'clock session. So thank you.